Yeah, let's get our holy on. What the heck does that mean? What does it mean to get our holy on? So I'm going to just follow suit with everyone else. It's one of my favorite things about this service here in Arlington is how much you guys use the chat and introduce yourselves to each other and offer prayers and give support and say hello and everything. So when I say let's get our holy on, two things. What does it mean? What does that mean? And if you want, put something in the chat because I'm going to be looking at it. Well, I'm one of those that can do 5 things at once. I've been doing digital ministry for many, many years. So what does it mean to get our holy on? That's what I'm talking about today. But I just want to know what you have to say about it. So put that in there. The idea, actually, it's not a real new idea, but it's the reason I'm talking about it today is, and I'll, anytime, is because today, with a colleague of mine, Reverend Ogenholder, we have launched a new business. It's an online, what we're creating is an online safe and brave space to come together to be our most holy selves. And when I think about that, when I think about living my most holy self, the place that I start with, and that I'm also going to invite you into putting in the chat box, is to pause and recognize where I am, like what land am I on, right? That I'm living my most holy self includes where I've come from, even before I was born, and where I am right now and where things are going. So when I begin most things, I make sure I mention what land I'm on, where I'm coming to you from, so to speak. And so currently I make my home as a settler, a white settler, in Missouri, in the town of Lee's Summit. I'm very close to Unity Village, which is outside Kansas City. And all of that is situated on land that was formerly the home of the ancestral homes of the indigenous Osage and Missouri nations. And the reason that I say that is because it's unceded territory. For me, it's important to acknowledge, what was here before. And that's also sort of a bigger picture of living my most holy self, like what, quote unquote, what was here before, meaning even within myself, what was there before, what came before me, because that is part of who I am. And to live my most holy self means knowing kind of where I've come from, who I am, whose land am I on, what's my roots, right? We have roots where we are. And living my most holy self means acknowledging those roots. And there are a lot of roots that we can be really proud of, and some maybe not so proud of. And yet, it still informs who I am. It still informs how I be in the world. And so it's important for me to acknowledge that. And I would encourage you to do the same thing, to just think about it. If you're not sure of the lands that you're on, then you can Google it. So what does it mean to let's get our holy on? And to be our most holy selves. Because I don't know about you, but there are certainly times that I feel confident, even if you have a definition for holy or not, I'm pretty sure, I know for me, and likely others, but I can't speak for others really solidly, that we know when we're not living our most holy selves. I'm pretty sure I know when that is. You can kind of tell by the feedback you get, right? Somebody gives you an interesting look, or the hand goes up, or the whatever symbol, or they just sort of stare at you and tilt their head. If you ever get that one, like someone tilts their head, stares at you, and the little squinty eyes, yeah, there might be some question about what you're saying or what you're doing, and not just because they might not quite understand or be confused. But so what is it to get our holy on? Well, for starters, it's I have to know what that is. What is my most holy self? Another way to think about it is, living my most noble self. And do I know what that is? I have inklings, I have ideas, I have, if you're in the business of ministry, you almost can't get away from learning. In fact, and from that self-reflecting. And, if you've ever heard me say it, I often say it like, no more self-reflecting. Don't make me self-reflect. Oh, I don't want to learn more about me. And yet that's where the treasure is, even the discomfort. So getting my Holi on means it's an internal job and it's an external job. It's an internal job in that, what is holy? Like, how do I define myself as a holy being? That's a pretty big claim. That's a pretty big claim. Traditionally we hear there's 5 principles in unity. I, for a long time, kind of say and have said, teach, and kind of how I be is there's one principle, meaning there's one presence and one power, and then there's 4 practices, right? So there's one principle, and that is there's one presence and one power, period. And then there's 4 practices, and it's the number 2, that practice of acknowledging what I am, which is I am divine, you are divine, we are divine, not a spark, like a raisin in a bun, but all of me is divine. And I'm also fully human, right? So there's a paradox, a polarity, a paradox built in that. And so living my most holy self, getting my Holi on, means knowing me on the inside and knowing how I show up on the outside and what I choose to do on the outside. It's whatever you hold as holy, for me, it really is about, it's about love. And it not like, pink frosting, cotton candy, squishy, lovey-dovey, unicorns. Although, well, I don't like cotton candy, but, love unicorns, love good pink frosting, and love is that foundation. It's not a feeling. It's not an emotion. It's, Charles Fillmore says in Talks on Truth, he says, love is the cementing element of all things. Love is the cementing element of all things. You could not have an organism without the help of the cementing power of love. Love is the magnet. You must have love. You cannot live without it. So I put that in the chat because that's the place that I want to start when I talk about let's get our Holi on. Well, if you're going to get something on, there's a starting place. And for me, the starting place is that idea about love. Not again from a feeling perspective, but more it's a cementing element. It's the foundation on which I stand. It's a principle, and it's a magnet. I can't live without it, and you can't live without it. And I'm not always necessarily conscious of it. And it's a principle that I use, right? Sometimes when I'm not living my most holy self, I need someone around me to love me, right? To just remind me. You don't even have to say anything, right? We just be still and be there as that cementing element, right? That if I'm not being my most holy self, and I can be hard to love at times. I think all of us have our little prickly days, right? The porcupine days, right? And people know to approach us, with pillows wrapped around them. So when I have that experience that I'm, might be the porcupine, the invitation for you is to get your Holi on, meaning remembering that cementing element, remembering that there's nothing really that you need to say as much as be that. Just be that. Just show up as that. Just know that my prickliness most likely is not about you. And the flip is true. The flip side is true. When I know that you're, in your porcupine costume, I know there's more. When we're little, or when we're adults and we have little kids, or, when you were little, you might remember that kids say things and they don't, And sometimes they say things that just pop out of their mouth. One of the things I really like about kids is there's really not much of a filter. So you get what you get, and at least you know what you're working with. But you'll hear kids sometimes say, oh, I don't like you, or I hate you, or you're not my friend, or something really, sounds, if you were an adult saying it, you'd be like, oh, that's pretty harsh. And yet when we hear a child say it, we kind of automatically move into looking behind the curtain, right? Looking behind the curtain to, if a child says something like that, what is it? They're probably hungry, they're probably tired, there's something's gone wrong in their day, but we know that there's more behind the curtain. And so getting our Holi on is the same idea, right? But as adults, right? I got a few people in my life that are tough to be around, that I think they're perpetual porcupines, and get to practice this to get my Holi on, which is remembering that I can be that first principle in the form I'm in infinite number of ways. Infinite number of ways. There's almost never a reason to not get my Holi on, except when I don't recognize it. Right? Ever look in the mirror and go, I'm tired today? Ever look in the mirror and say, I don't want to self-reflect today? Ever look in the mirror and, think I'm not enough? Or ever look in the mirror and have a sense of inadequacy? Or ever, I'll tell you where it happens to me is oftentimes on Facebook. I'll read through Facebook, and I have to remember that what I'm seeing on Facebook, and not all the time and not with everybody, but this happens regularly enough, where I read through what people type, and I forget that I'm just getting a piece of their life. And for some people, all I see is all this, the unicorn pink frosting. I'm like, does nothing ever happen in your life that's hard, or challenging, or you just seem to always be great at this? And I leave I'll get off Facebook, and I realize that I've allowed that experience to diminish me. And if I allow that experience to diminish me, I'm not going to be able to get my Holi on. I'm not going to be able to bring my phenomenal, shiny, glorious, divine self to whatever's in front of me, whether it's a child that needs a hug, whether it's out working to, doing anti-racist work to change policy, whether it's sitting at the bedside of someone who's dying, or sitting at the bedside of someone who's ill and just really afraid, whether it's as a prayer chaplain and holding the hands of someone that's really angry, whatever, wherever. Just being still, sitting outside in the sun in a public park on a bench and just smiling. It's amazing. Go try it. It's a really good experiment. Go to a public place and just sit there and just smile. And as people walk by, just smile at them. And people really do. I know someone over the years has said this before, I can't remember who, but they really think you're up to something. And what you're up to is getting your Holi on, right? Is you're bringing forward that which you are, which is divine. Again, not just a little piece, but all of you. And there's an infinite number of ways to express that divinity. It comes as compassion. It comes as silliness. It comes as quiet. It comes as presence. It comes as contemplation. It comes as fun. It comes as community. It comes as love. It comes as sensuality. It comes in, humor, wisdom. The book that they were showing earlier, 101 Possibilities for Contemplation, that's what all those are. They're all, aspects of our being, that when I engage one of them, I'm getting my Holi on. So what happens to the world when I get my Holi on? How much more fun am I to be around? A lot more fun. And you'll be a lot more fun. How much more do you want to be around someone? How much better off is someone when they leave my presence, right? When they've been around me, I get my Holi on, and which isn't, it doesn't have to do anything. Sometimes I think we make it too hard. Instead of, let me drop to my heart, ask my heart, what is mine to do? What is mine to be? What is mine to say? It may just be quiet. and just sit next to something. It's like that cartoon of Winnie the Pooh and Piglet, and they're just sidling up to each other. And it's just, oh, I just needed to make sure you're there. That's getting your Holi on. It's amazing how much something that simple makes a huge difference in someone's life. Of course, getting your Holi on can be really, really big. What Reverend Ogan and I have launched today, it's called Project Sanctus. Sanctus, Sanctus, is the Latin word for holy. We're committed to creating a world, to creating this gathering space online that is safe, that is brave. So part of getting our Holi on is being a little bit brave. It means moving outside our comfort zone. When we want to go change the world, it does require some sacrifice. Myrtle Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, actually I'm going to say founder of Unity because she really started it. She was doing the work several years before Charles chipped in and decided to say, oh, maybe this is working. I'm going to try it out. But that's me. I'm a Myrtle nut. I've been hanging around and reading her stuff, and all of her unpublished, not all of it, a lot of her unpublished things in the archives. And anyway, but she is that. Get your Holi on. It's about being in action and acknowledging that it's not just what's in here, but it's also she says, if I speak truth and I do not do truth, then I'm silent. So what Reverend Ogan and I are doing is that we're stepping into something bigger, something beyond, something that is how to get our Holi on. And how do we do that together? It's not a solitary thing. Yes, there are things we do on our own. I get my Holi on my own. I actually, in contemplative practices, I may be by myself, but what the true benefit of meditation and prayer is when I'm by myself, and then I am come out into the world more aware. It's like cleaning the glass on a window. I'm more aware. Did you know there's this little in the quantum world? There's this little it's smaller than microscopic, but it's called a boson, and a boson is a fundamental particle, and there's a particular kind of boson that I equate to love, and it's a fundamental particle, and it carries a force with it, and you can't have too many in a quantum field, right? So it carries this force that is connective, right? That's relative. That's like a magnet kind of thing, and you can't have too many in a quantum field. And that's how I think about love. That's how I think about let's get our Holi on. You can't have too many. Like, there's no such thing. Enough means nothing, right? There's no such thing as enough. There's no quantity. So let's get our Holi on. Could be something little, could be something really big, or anything in between. And when you are struggling, knowing what is my Holi, whole, right? Holy, wholeness, have the same root. Being connected to my wholeness, my joys and my sufferings are my wholeness. So there's nowhere to get to. Getting my Holi on means just acknowledging what is, not arguing with reality, being what I am, which is divine and fully human in all its glory and in all its ickiness. So both. So let's get our Holi on. Let's get our Holi on. What does that mean for each of us? What does that mean to individually? What does it mean collectively? Let's do a brief meditation. Let's take that into our heart space. Into that holy place. And if you're comfortable, close your outer eyes. And if you don't have a sense of safety when you close your eyes, like not sure what's around you, or depending on where you are listening, just drop your eyes about a foot in front of you. Just drop your gaze. But bring your attention to your heart space, for it is a place that we return to for rest. It is a place that to release fear, to release care, It is a holy place. Stillness fills that holy place. It is a place where we are aware of our fundamental nature that is divine. Not just a little bit, but all of it. All of it. It's not a place far away. It's right where you are. It's a place that knowing that when you shut the doors to the outer senses, that there's still activity in the conscious mind. And you bring your attention right back to that place of stillness. It's not a hard place to go. It's not a hard place to enter. Just breathe. And say, I am holy. I am whole. I can be nothing else. I am holy. I am whole. I can be nothing else. Feel the presence of life, of love, of generosity, of power. Feel that cementing foundation on which you stand. Silently remind yourself, I am holy, I am whole, I am divine. I am holy, I am whole, I am divine. Know that each one of you are dear to me, that I need you. I need you to get your holy on. Because each one of us leaves an echo of perfection. So you are dear to me. I hold you in my heart. And I declare that you are holy, that you are whole, that you are divine. Let's hold that in the quiet for a minute. The affirmation that I am holy, I am whole, I am divine. All my joys and all my sufferings are holy, whole, and divine. In the silence. I am holy, I am whole, and I am divine. And so we go forward into our day, today and each day, remembering that, being that, for each other and for our world. And so it is, and so it is. Amen.